What makes Chicago hip-hop so different? A piece about some of the history and culture surrounding the Chicago hip-hop scene. Chicago's hip-hop scene is one of the most iconic in the country, but it's also one of the most unique. The city has always fostered a kind of do-it-yourself attitude which fuels the independence of its artists. Artists didn't just look to other cities for inspiration, they looked to other art forms as well. The house music of Chicago is just as important and just as influential, even having been created in part by a founding father of hip-hop, Frankie Knuckles. In this piece, we'll take you through a few reasons why Chicago hip-hop is so different and some history that you might not know about. Chicago hip-hop is a world all its own. It's not just the birthplace of Kanye West and Common, or one of the most influential cities in the genre's history, also a place where artists are constantly trying to push their craft and create something new. Where clout and views only scratch the surface in the checklist of respect. This city has always been a hub for artistic expression and innovation, and it shows in the music scene here. We've got everything from drill rap to jazz fusion, from trap to house music, from soul to EDM, you name it. And while there are definitely some common threads that run through all these styles, each artist has their own unique take on how best to express themselves through sound. The thing is, Chicago hip-hop isn't just about what sounds good on the radio, it's about making sure that you're being true to yourself as an artist and being true both musically and lyrically. This means that if you're looking for someone who's going to talk about how much they love their city and their true experience in their songs, well, there are plenty of those artists in Chicago. Chicago's music and art scene has a unique shape and character. On one hand, Chicago is a city made for big business and politics with a big heart and a big population. On the other hand, artists and music lovers have been creating and sustaining an arts and music culture in Chicago for years, which gives the city its taste. The city is spread out with pockets of young people and old people living in different neighborhoods. This allows for a lot of interesting scenes to paint the city. In Chicago, music and art often means doing what you want. There is no one place to go to, and there is no one way to do it. This is where Chicago's uniqueness lies. The house music of Chicago is just as influential as the hip-hop. Chicago was an important part of the history of hip-hop because this was where the genre began. From the beginning, Chicago was the birthplace of what would eventually grow into the genre. Hip-hop was born in the South Bronx, but the Chicago tapes were instrumental in the development of the genre. House music is also a critical part of Chicago hip-hop. Till this day, local artists are influenced by the initial house sound. Whether it be a sample, high-pitch effect, or a modern-day footworking song, Chicago creatives are still moved by Chicago house music. Chicago holds its house roots with pride. Chicago's hip-hop scene is unlike any other. It has always been fueled by a powerful connection to the city's youth and a passion to expose the truth. The scene is rarely one of violence and destruction, but rather one of peace, harmony, and hope. But because sex and violence sells, the minority is what is pushed to mainstream media. The history of Chicago's hip-hop scene is a long one. It has always been a reflection of the current culture and community. Like a mirror, it has always been able to show Chicago's truth. Chicago's hip-hop history is different than the rest because it has always been influenced by the city's youth. The drill scene has brought a lot of negative attention to the Chicago hip-hop scene. The drill scene is a style of hip-hop that is popular in Chicago, and it has drawn criticism for its violent lyrics and style. While the drill scene has brought a lot of attention to the Chicago hip-hop scene, even though it has its negative aspects, it has also brought a lot of positive attention as well. In the drill scene, people are trying to be different than what they are used to. They are trying to express the things that they have grown up with and the issues that they deal with, and using their platform to bring others up. Although it may be dark and it may not be suitable for children, it is their truth, and that truth has shifted the hip-hop genre once again. We hope you enjoyed this piece on some of the ways Chicago hip-hop is different. Chicago hip-hop is a unique genre of hip-hop that is heavily influenced by its people and is a vital part of the rich history of hip-hop as a whole. This piece elaborated on some of the key differences between Chicago and other hip-hop genres, which you can use to better understand the impact of Chicago in regards to the most popular genre to date.